For more on the U.S. midterm elections, we are joined by Eleanor Clift. She's a political columnist at the Daily Beast. Good to see you. Welcome back. I was talking to Anna Naidu earlier, and we were talking about what's the focus of the midterms going to be on, and we listed up a ton of stuff, and we ended up saying there's no way that either party can focus on all this. They've got to narrow it down. So let me ask you this. What are the top three topics that either party is going to focus on coming up?
I would say it's the economy, and you could wrap inflation in that, and the high cost of living, abortion, and the fact that a right to reproductive care has been taken away, a right that women in this country enjoyed for 50 years. And then you have to put crime at the top of the list as well. In many ways, crime levels are the same, but the politicians do run on fear, and so if you live in a rural area, you look at the big cities, you think, oh, crime there is terrible. And if you live in a big city and you see a crime rate that's on television and see somebody pushing somebody off a subway platform, while it's exceedingly rare, given the numbers of people that ride transit every day in New York City, it's terrifying. So crime is up there too. Those are the three issues, and two of the three benefit Republicans. And so I think with 2 weeks out from the midterms, the sense is that the Republicans have the upper hand going into the midterms. But the political winds could shift. There's enormous efforts on both sides of the aisle to tell voters what's at stake, and particularly on the Democratic side, to remind voters what the Democratic administration has done for them and how many of the things that they enjoy, like lower prescription drug prices and reproductive freedom, that those were taken away or been voted against by Republicans. So 2 weeks is a political lifetime.
On international policy, for our audience, if the Democrats win or the GOP takes the House or Senate, what does that mean? What's at stake for international policy, specifically China and also our issues with Ukraine?
Internationally, Kevin McCarthy, who is likely to be the next Speaker of the House, has said that Ukraine should not expect a blank check from a Republican administration. And the issue of how much assistance to give Ukraine is dividing the Republican Party when the Democrats are pretty much all in for Ukraine. And so I think that's one item that's very much on the agenda should the Republicans take over. And secondly, being tough on China is a policy that both parties are taking part in, and I would imagine that that would continue. And with Donald Trump, the former president, a constant presence hovering over today's party, that was his attitude, and many of the policies that he put in place, sanctions on tariffs and that sort of thing, have remained in place. So I would think that getting tough on China, staying tough with Russia, staying firm with Ukraine would be issues that could unite the parties, but that could also divide the parties going ahead.
You have probably seen the same polls that I have when it comes to how average voters feel about what we do here in Washington, D.C. And while we enjoy the vigorous debates about policy, the rest of the country seems to have a borderline disgust with what's happening here in Washington. And I hope that middle of the road people come out and vote for the policies that matter to them. But my question to you is, how do we make these midterm elections more in touch with the average day American, specifically when it comes to the economy? How is one group going to be better or worse for the economy than the other group? And obviously I'm talking about the Democrats or the Republicans.
Well, I think you're right that a lot of people across the country look at Washington and they think it's one set of elites, arguing against another set of elites, and what does it really have to do with their lives? And so I think the Democrats in particular need to get specific about the policies that they have put in place that are not going to change people's lives overnight, but they are investments in the future, investments in children, investments in the climate, investments in lowering prescription drug costs, those kind of things. The Republicans are the out party now, and so it's not unusual for the out party to not put forth its own policies, but to simply say that everything the in party is doing is wrong, and vote for us and we'll change everything. So I think you'll see in the next few weeks more of an attempt to pin down the Republicans as to what exactly they will do. And they have made some statements that give cause for alarm. They're elevating the issue of rising deficits, saying they need to cut deficits. And they're talking about one way to do that is to get at what we call entitlement spending, which is money on Social Security and Medicare and that sort of thing. In the past, that would be enough. No Republican would wanted to go near that. It was considered the third rail of politics. Touch it and you die. But our politics have changed so dramatically now that people vote for whatever tribe they have confidence in. And they may not even have confidence in that tribe, but they hate the other tribe even more.
Yeah,
So the polarization has really undermine the ability to make progress on many of these issues that people really should care about. And yet, if you talk about, well, people should care about this or that, you will face criticism that you're,
right.
An elite from Washington telling people what to
Well,
do. The voters will speak, though, in 2 weeks, and I'm sure they'll have some surprises for us.
as I say to everybody, welcome to Washington, where all the problems we blame on everybody else. Eleanor, just fantastic to have you with us. We will, of course, have you back again for more analysis as the days move on here. Thank you.